I'm Dan Williams. I'm a director of an IT services company, and I'm also a business coach servicing IT industry. I had my first computer was a what that was called an IBM compatible. So it wasn't an IBM. It was kind of like a copy, I guess, an IBM compatible 286. It didn't have Windows. There was no Windows really at the time. So it was more intriguing to know how it all worked. And I think my computer spent more time with its cover off than it did with it on. When I was in year 11, year 12, completing my VCE, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do, which isn't that unusual, and it's probably not a big problem either. I knew that technology was something that was, the dependence on technology was growing. And so I thought, I can't really lose if I back that horse. So I enrolled in what was called a traineeship at the time. It was a group training style traineeship. And I started that just before I finished year 12. So I finished year 12 and went straight into it. So I even missed things like schoolies and went straight into a traineeship. I was lucky enough to get that start at a local government at Hume City Council out in Broadmeadows. And on the job experience, 4 days a week, training 1 day a week, and completed my traineeship. And that on the job experience, I think, was what I needed. I was literally straight into it on a help desk, answering calls for people all over one of the biggest municipalities in the country, actually. And driving around in a council vehicle, delivering building PCs almost probably within the first week or two on the job. Providing the support in the field is where I learned a lot about how people want to be helped. When you're over the phone, you're kind of guessing and doing your best to listen and to provide good advice. But when you're on the other side of the screen, as you'd say, that's probably where I learned most about how people want to be helped and what's actually happening. I guess what gets me out of bed in the morning is I love helping people, and I love being able to use my time to I guess, give back to the industry that has given me everything. Working in a IT service provider for 16 years, I became an owner in that business around about 7 or 8 years ago. And that gave me a taste of what it was like to own and run a business and really be able to, I guess, roll in all of that experience of helping other people's businesses into building our own business. And I developed a bit of a knack for understanding opportunities and decision making and self-taught, like things like marketing and bookkeeping and all those sorts of essential skills, to the point where I had a lot of people asking me for advice for things beyond IT, general business. And I realized it's actually the business side of IT services that I actually loved. The technology is moving at breakneck speed, but the business fundamentals are the same as what they have been for, I'd say, hundreds of years. So being able to bring the two together really excites me. I think adoption and change management skills are the most essential skills. So from an actual technical perspective, there are some obvious things like security, project management and change management, but actually helping people to understand that and creating productive outcomes instead of just more gadgets and tools, how to use them and why. I think that's lost on a lot of people, actually why you would use things. And so being able to improve adoption, help people become comfortable with the technology, and then embrace change and adapt to that change. I think they are the most important skills. Companies that I'm working with are always hiring. I've never heard an IT company say, actually, we've got enough people. They're always looking for good people. And I think there's a genuine understanding that you can teach technical skills, but it's really hard to teach people skills. The government investing in technology, like we've seen recently, Some people get nervous about that, but to me that just says there's a lot of opportunity there as well. If you are willing to understand the context of why you would learn something and understand the business need, then you can almost pivot to any of those streams, whether it's security or cloud. The one that I find the most interesting is collaboration, online collaboration, and doing that well and making that a productive and useful experience. I think that's probably the most exciting thing that I see right now. Everything from delivering a grade 1 class online to 300 students and doing that well, through to conducting a productive board meeting. The fundamentals are the same. Sound, video, sharing documents, being able to work in the same space, and to do that from anywhere and to do that securely and safely. I think it's extremely exciting. I guess if I was to give advice on where to start, I would actually start by being curious. Have a look at people that are in roles that you think is something that might suit you, and ask them questions. How did they get there? What do they like, or what do they dislike about those roles? Have a look at companies that you would like to work for or you think are interesting, and understand how they hire, how they recruit. Most companies these days have some sort of core values or some sort of way that they express who they are. Invest some time into understanding what businesses and companies value, and ask yourself if that's you. I'm not asking people to change who they are, but I find that if you can work for a place that is aligned with you, then it's a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning. One thing that I always go back to, and I can't even remember who said this to me, which is kind of heartbreaking, but the best advice I ever received was never chase the money. If you help enough people and you do enough good and you become good or even great at what you do, the money will chase you. And I believe that. I've never been motivated by money. I think that if you apply yourself to your passion and what you're good at, then that takes care of itself.